In post-apocalyptic movies, when everything has collapsed and social order is nothing more than a distant memory, there's always one question that lingers in the back of the viewer's mind. If you had to choose one thing to rely on in a ruined world, what would still be standing? It's rarely the most advanced technology, rarely the flashiest invention. More often, it's the rough, stubborn machines, the ones built not to impress, but to endure. And in the world of weapons, there's a special group that always comes up in these conversations: the true survivors. Guns designed not just to fight, but to keep working when everything else fails, in the worst conditions humanity can imagine. Part 1. The AK-47, from a symbol of survival. Take the AK-47, for example, a name that has gone far beyond the military and become a cultural symbol. Mikhail Kalashnikov didn't design it to win awards for engineering beauty. He built it so a young soldier, standing in freezing cold or knee-deep in mud, could trust that when he pulled the trigger, the rifle would fire. Its long-stroke gas piston system, loose mechanical tolerances, and simple but durable materials all gave the AK a reputation for doing something almost unbelievable. Firing even after being dragged through sand, dropped in dirty water, or neglected for months. On paper, its specs might not make engineers gasp in admiration, but in real life, its ability to function in brutal environments is nearly unmatched. And that's exactly why the AK became the go-to apocalypse weapon in so many stories, from survival games to post-collapse movies. Not because it's perfect, but because it refuses to quit. If there's one firearm that perfectly represents the idea of never giving up, it's the AK-47. Designed at a time when the Soviet military needed a weapon for ordinary soldiers in the harshest conditions, Mikhail Kalashnikov built something where reliability mattered more than elegance. The long-stroke piston system, loose mechanical tolerances, and rugged materials made the AK famous for working even after being dragged through sand, mud, or snow. In post-apocalyptic stories, the AK isn't just a gun. It's a symbol of raw endurance, technology made to survive rather than to impress. Part 2. AR-15/M4. When sophistication learns to adapt. On the other side of the world, Americans developed their own philosophy of durability, and the name that always comes up is the AR-15 and its military counterpart, the M4. If the AK represents raw toughness, the AR stands as a symbol of mechanical refinement. The direct impingement gas system helps reduce weight and improve accuracy, while the modular design allows users to tailor the rifle to whatever mission lies ahead. It was once criticized for being a little high maintenance in dusty, dirty environments, but through generations of improvements, the AR has proven something important. Smart design can survive harsh conditions too, as long as it's built with the right philosophy behind it. In post-apocalyptic scenarios, the AR often appears as a relic of a fallen world, a piece of old technology still standing, representing the modern age just before everything collapsed. On the other side of the world, the AR-15 represents a very different philosophy. Where the AK is rugged and simple, the AR is lighter, more refined, and highly modular. Early critics questioned its reliability in extreme environments, but decades of improvements prove that smart engineering can also be durable. In post-apocalyptic films and games, the AR often appears as a relic of modern civilization, a piece of the old world still functioning in a broken new one. Part 3. Glock. Minimalism in modern form. When it comes to durability, you can't leave out Glock, the pistol line that completely changed how the world looks at handguns. When Gaston Glock first introduced the polymer frame, a lot of people laughed, but it turned out that very material became a lifesaver in wet conditions, mud, and brutal weather. Glocks don't rely on complicated parts. They have fewer moving components. They're easy to maintain, and they've built a reputation for working reliably in torture tests most manufacturers wouldn't even dare to attempt. In movies and games, Glock often shows up as the ultimate apocalypse sidearm. Not because it's fancy, but because it doesn't need to be treated gently to get the job done. When Gaston Glock introduced polymer frames, many thought it was a risky experiment. Instead, it became a revolution. The lightweight materials, simple internal design, and resistance to moisture and dirt turned Glock pistols into some of the most dependable sidearms in the world. With fewer moving parts and straightforward construction, Glock feels perfectly suited for situations where maintenance is a luxury. In apocalyptic settings, it often plays the role of the quiet companion, not flashy, just consistently reliable. Part 4. FN SCAR, the legacy of Special Forces engineering. And if we're talking about guns that were born for real hell on Earth, FN SCAR is a name that absolutely deserves to be mentioned. Developed for Special Operations Forces, the SCAR had to meet one brutal requirement. It had to work in every environment imaginable, from freezing cold and jungle rain to scorching desert sand. Its monolithic aluminum upper receiver, short-stroke piston system, and multi-caliber capability turned it into a symbol of pure adaptability. In fictional post-apocalyptic worlds, the SCAR often represents the last remnants of elite military legacy, the kind of weapon every group of survivors dreams of discovering in some forgotten armory, because finding one doesn't just mean firepower. It means hope that real craftsmanship still exists in a broken world. When Gaston Glock introduced polymer frames, many thought it was a risky experiment. Instead, it became a revolution. The lightweight materials, simple internal design, and resistance to moisture and dirt turned Glock pistols into some of the most dependable sidearms in the world. With fewer moving parts and straightforward construction, Glock feels perfectly suited for situations where maintenance is a luxury. In apocalyptic settings, it often plays the role of the quiet companion, not flashy, just consistently reliable. Part 5. Mosin-Nagant, proof that time doesn't defeat good design. But not every apocalypse story is set in a modern world. Sometimes, it's the old rifles that truly make people believe in long-term survival. The Mosin-Nagant, a bolt-action rifle born in the late 19th century, is a perfect example. Thick steel, simple construction, almost nothing that can break. The Mosin fought through 2 world wars, survived the frozen hell of Siberia, and still shows up in modern conflicts today. In post-apocalyptic stories, the image of an old, classic rifle that still works flawlessly carries a special kind of power, as if time itself can't defeat designs that were built to endure. Some firearms don't need to be modern to be legendary, and the Mosin-Nagant proves exactly that. Born in the late 19th century, this bolt-action rifle survived 2 world wars, Siberian winters, and decades of hard service. Thick steel, simple mechanics, and almost nothing that can break. The Mosin feels like a machine built to defy time. In post-apocalyptic fiction, a weathered Mosin still firing true carries a powerful message. Durability can outlast generations. Part 6. Remington 870/Mossberg 500, the power of versatility. And then there are names like the Remington 870 and the Mossberg 500, icons of the shotgun world, loved not just for their power, but for their sheer versatility. Shotguns don't demand overly complex ammunition. They don't rely on delicate mechanisms, and they can be used in an incredible range of situations. The pump-action design delivers a very real mechanical feel. Every cycle is physical, deliberate, and honest. And it's that very simplicity that makes shotguns a favorite in survival scenarios, where complicated maintenance becomes a luxury no one can afford. Part 7. SIG MCX, when technology supports durability. In the world of modern rifles, the SIG MCX is another fascinating example. Designed around a highly modular philosophy, the MCX can operate in multiple configurations while still maintaining rock-solid reliability. Its enclosed piston system helps keep the action cleaner, boosting durability in harsh environments. The MCX represents a new generation of firearms, one where technology is no longer the enemy of toughness, but its ally, an evolution of what it really means to build a survival-ready weapon. Part 8. UZI, legendary simplicity. And of course, we can't forget names like the UZI and the MP5, icons of compact design and reliability in the world of submachine guns. The UZI, with its simple blowback system, and the MP5, famous for its smooth roller-delayed action, both became legends not just on the battlefield, but in popular culture as well. In post-apocalyptic films, when the main character steps out of the smoke with an MP5 in hand, the audience instantly understands. This isn't just a weapon. This is the legacy of a peak era in military engineering. From the rugged AK-47 to the refined MP5, from the century-old Mosin-Nagant to the modern MCX, each of these firearms reflects a different design philosophy, yet they all meet at one point. They were built to function when everything else fails. In movies, games, and popular culture, these apocalypse-proof weapons aren't just tools of combat, but symbols of resilience and trust in human engineering. And in the end, the real story isn't about how dangerous they are, it's about what they reveal about us. Our instinct to create machines that endure chaos, not to glorify violence, but to understand how technology reflects our deepest desire to survive uncertainty, and the hope that these stories remain forever in fiction, never in reality.